Hi everyone, welcome to another episode. Today we are going to talk about something which a lot of you guys have been asking about, how to study for almost free in the US. So today we're going to talk about that more in detail. I'm going to talk first about the masters in the US, then I'm going to talk about the bachelors in the US and the PhD in the US. Uh, let's start without further ado. Let's start off the video. The first thing that I'm going to talk to you about is the various kind of assistantship that you could get. So there are three that I can think of. One is the GTA or TA, which is the teaching assistantship. The second one is the GRA or RA, which is the research assistantship. And the third one is called GA or the graduate assistantship. So let's tackle about all these individually in the coming sections. Let's talk about the TA or the GTA, which is the teaching assistantship. What happens in this is basically you get, each college, has a time limit when you apply for these positions. They tell you what are you good at, what are some of the subjects that you've taught before, or like you're really good in it, and there could be different parameters to measure it. The first thing could be like how you performed earlier in your bachelor's on those subjects, or they could do a small interview to understand your knowledge base, and based on that what you are doing in this teaching assistantship is you're basically helping a teacher grade all the students with their homework or their assignments or their assessments. So you're basically helping a teacher do that. Sometimes you might also have to teach. There are various flavors to it. You could always also be being a lab assistant where you help the the bachelor students with their their lab work or something. So there could be different flavors to this. Basically in this thing what you need to do is you'll be grading their homeworks and assessments and helping the teacher. What this comes up with, this comes with a stipend which could range based on the college that you're applying to, but the good thing that you get with this is you get a full-fledged 100% tuition waiver. We'll talk more about what a 100% tuition waiver means, but this is what a teaching assistantship or a graduate teaching assistantship means. Very rarely do you get it before, like with your admit. Sometimes you have to come to the US and then apply for them, and they have limited posts for these, and again it depends, so don't hold me for this, but it depends on different colleges. They could have different ways of applying to this, but generally the thing that you need to do with a teaching assistantship is you have to show your proficiency with one of the subjects that you're applying for, and it might also entail an interview there. So that's what a teaching assistantship or a graduate teaching assistantship is. Now let's go into the next section, which is about the GRA or RA, which is the research assistantship. Now let's talk about the RA, and then I'll talk a lot about it in the end, how I got it. This is how I got my assistantship, so I'll be talking more about that. But let's talk what a GRA or RA is. Basically, this is a research assistantship. Here you work with one of the professors in their research work. Sometimes you work with the professors, sometimes you might work with other PhD students to work on the professor's research, and they give you a stipend as a compensation for the time that you're spending in their research work. But this also comes with 100% tuition waivership. So what this entails is I am for sure they would ask you for your resume. They will see what work you have done, like why are you very interested, and this will most probably be included, followed up with an interview where the professor will ask why are you interested to work with them, what has been your achievements in the research area that they are working on, and what you bring to the table. So you have to bring, like sometimes you might have to write an SOP, sometimes you might have to do a very rigorous resume tailoring for that. But this will certainly come with an interview, because the teachers really want to know why you are interested in their research. And this is one thing that I did specifically. So I'm going to talk about it more at the end of the video about my experience. How did I get it? But that's what I've been doing. So this is about the GRA or the RA. It could be called whatever, depends on the college. They either name it GRA or RA, which is research assistantship. Third and the last one is called GA or graduate assistantship. Here you do not do any technical work. You're just helping different departments with their day-to-day work. So you could be sitting on the front desk helping different visitors with that. But the good thing is so depends on the perspective. So the good thing here is obviously you don't have to do a technical work. So if you are at a very technically rigorous course, you could keep this as a breather. This is also your way to interact with a lot of people. So if you're good with people skills, it's a really good one. The good thing here also is depending on how it is structured, you do get 100% scholarships, and you also get a stipend. Generally, these stipends are much lower compared to the technical work, obviously, because there you're doing technical work. You're either helping a professor with his research papers, or some really groundbreaking work. Here you're just helping the new visitors at the front desk, so generally the stipend is lesser. But the good thing obviously is you still get a 100% waiver, and again, it depends on colleges, but as far as I know, this also comes up with that. So these are the three things through which you could get 100% tuition waiver and assistantship, and with a stipend. So these are the three ways that you could do it. Now let's talk about some other ways that you could still get money if you're not able to secure these different assistantships. How could you additionally work? So if you do, I'm sure you guys have already done some research. As a student, you're not allowed to work here in the US. The only places that you can work on is at the college campus. So the other ways that you could still make money, you cannot get assistantship, and you cannot be working full-time. So you can only work part-time, and in the US, definition of part-time is anything which is 20 hours or less per week, which comes down to like 4 hours a day that you'll be working. So you could look at different libraries, you could be looking at different student centers, you could be looking at different even cafes. So a lot of people do not understand that, but if there's a cafe which is at the college campus, you could still be working there. They pay you something like around $9-10 an hour, and again, it depends based on the city, the location, the state that you're in. So those hourly wages differ, but you could be making something around $9 to $15 an hour, depending on which state you are in. And that's how you can make some money for your rent and everything else. But I am more than 100% sure that these obviously do not help you with your tuition waivers. So this is another way that you could work through that. Now let's delve into the other chapter that we're talking about, about the bachelors. How can they be, can they get these assistantships? How do they work through that? Okay, so let's talk about it in the next section. For the bachelors, it's a little bit more difficult because they generally are not offered any kind of assistantship or tuition waivers. You'll be very lucky, and this generally happens in your junior or senior year. So here in the US, your third and fourth year is called junior year and senior year. So if you're very lucky, and if you're really working very closely with a professor, he might take you as part of one of his research to work with the graduate students and PhD students. So in this case, you might get some stipend, but generally you do not get any waivers. So for the bachelors, it's a little difficult. You still have to you will never get 100% assistance scholarship there. Apart from the US students, obviously they have different scholarships, and then you can apply to different scholarships, but on the college, there is no 100% tuition waiver there. Apart from this, I have heard from a couple of my friends, my juniors in bachelors, they've told especially in my college at GSU, Georgia State University, here we had dorms, which is the bachelor students are mandatory. They should be living in the dorms. So here in the dorms, you have leaders, you have resident assistants there. So as part of that, they would get $1,000 stipend there, but you would never get a tuition waiver there. So for bachelors, you can find out different ways of getting scholarship. Different companies offer scholarship for bachelor students, different technical companies and all that. So you keep applying, looking out for that. But there's no way that you get an 100% tuition waiver from the college itself. So you'll have to look at different other avenues, and the only way that you could get some stipend to help you with your either the accommodation or the rent to pay up those things would be the way that you could get some stipend from your professor that you're working with, or if you're a resident assistant. So that's the way you can manage it with bachelors. Now let's look into how the PhD students manage that. What do they do it for these assistantships? Looking at the PhD students, so the very important thing at the PhD students, as most of you might already know, as a PhD student, there is one course that you have to actually work on your thesis. That is a mandatory course. And then most of the students, because they are very research oriented, they have to work on the thesis to work with whatever professor that you're working with. You are expected, it's a mandatory thing that you are expected to be teaching a subject for the bachelor students, or either helping the professor full-time with the research. So you would anyways get a stipend, which would be really good. Like it would be around $1,000-$2,000 per month, which would be, and obviously you would get 100% scholarship. So you do not have to worry about anything about the expenses here in the US as a PhD student. So that's for sure taken care. It could either be done through the teaching that you'd be doing for the bachelor students or some other way, but because you are doing a research oriented course and it's very rigorous, so that part of it is already taken care of. You don't have to pay anything for the tuition, the subject that you're learning here. You don't have to pay for anything for the tuitions. So that's about all the ways that you could get scholarship that I know of. There could be newer ways that other people might tell you about, but this is what I have learned through my experiences. Now let's talk about what the 100% tuition waiver means. So this has different nomenclature, so you need to be very wary and look into the actual college and ask their administrative staff to get clarity on that, because depending on the college this could be different things. So for example, when I got a 100% tuition waiver, it did not mean that I did not have to spend a single penny. What this meant was basically they were waiving off my tuition fees. I still had to pay administrative fees, like library fees, sports, facility using fees and all that. And you still have to pay the health insurance fees. So as far as I know, in any college in the US, and again, this is as far as I know, I could be wrong here, but as far as I know, in the US, you have to pay the health insurance fees, sometimes every semester, sometimes every year. But some colleges do not charge you if you're on 100% tuition waiver. They do not charge you these administrative fees also, but some colleges do charge. So I was paying around, so including my health insurance fees and administrative fees, I was paying somewhere around $1,100 to like $1,300 depending on different semesters. Sometimes it would change, so I was paying around that amount every semester so it was not 100% fee, but again, I was getting stipend which is kind of covering this, so it was kind of good. So like at the end it was kind of zero. I had to still pay for my rent and all that. I had to source out money for my rent, my daily expenses and all that. So that's how that happened there. Now let me talk about in detail about the next section. Let's talk about how did I get my scholarship. So I was very lucky that when I received different admits, I received scholarships or tuition waiver along with this. The reason that I received that was because I had around 8 or 9 years of experience, professional experience by that time, and it could also be because I had a lot of work experience and I had good academics. It could be because of various reasons, like good GRE scores, good SOP and all that. The thing is, if you have a really good professional experience, good GRE scores, these all enhance your chances of getting a scholarship. The other thing that worked in my favor was obviously in my case the work and all that. So I was lucky to get these admits. Very few people, as far as I remember during my time, only 6 people were offered scholarships and tuition waivers with their admits, and a lot of people. So if you do not receive that, do not worry. A lot of people, when we came here, a lot of them got GTAs, GRAs and all that. So this is how I got my, I was lucky in that case because, various reasons they had offered me to that. Now let's talk about the most important part, which is how can you make sure that you get a scholarship right when you're in India or, a different country, when in your home country there, and you do not have to worry about how would you pay the expenses and all that when you're coming into the US. So in the next section we'll talk more about that. If you've seen my video till here, you would know the various ways where GTAs that you would most probably come here in the US and then get those teaching assistantships. But one hack that would really work with you is the GRA or the research assistantship. The way there is a shortcut to get those, and then if you are able to score a research assistantship with one of the professors or the PhD students, you would get your tuition waiver 100% waived, and you would also be getting a stipend. So the way you work with this is when you have selected those colleges that you are really interested in, the first thing that you should do is go to their website, look at the faculty, like whether it's computer science, I don't know, it's political science, whatever. Look at the faculties that they're teaching there, that you know, whichever department that you're interested in. Look through their different professors that teach there. Look at what they are researching on. And a lot of times they would also show you they have open positions, you know, for graduate assistant, you know, graduate researchers. Sometimes they have positions open for PhD students. So look at the, you know, the research areas that they are focusing on and see if there is something that really interests you. Then you would always have an email address for the professor there. Reach out to them directly. I know a lot of people who have done this and secured a scholarship, not even getting through the, you know, the regular GTA or anything else. What it also helps you is, you know, as a graduate student also, you are expected to do a small thesis or something at the end of the course. So you would anyways be researching with one of the professors. So this also gets you out of that headache where, you know, for one semester you work as a GTA and then you have to go through and then search, you know, talk to different professors and see what is really interesting for you, what are the areas that they are researching on, and then apply to them so that, you know, they take you under their wing. So this will help you evade that, and this will also you know, give the professors the confidence that, hey, this person is really interested in my research area and he's going to be with me for the entire 2-year period. So that, and at times the good thing is, again, these are all conditions apply. At times your stipend might be much better than what you will get as a GT or a GA. So there are those chances also. But also the other thing is you work with one professor and then you for the entire 10 years, so you can do a lot more research work here, so there are better chances of you working on something really substantial. So that really helps. And so my suggestion would be, do not worry if you do not have that. Once you know wherever you have received your, I mean, generally by March. So if you're applying for the fall season, generally by March you should be getting it. If you're applying for the, you know, the winter season, you should be getting it by September, I guess. So you still have, a time. I think you have 2-3 months of time where you can do extensive research on the college that you're interested in. Look at the different professors, reach out to them, mail them, you know, sending your SOP, your piece of work, like whatever, anything that you think is really going to help you make your case for yourself, so that, you know, a strong case, so that they take you under their wing. So that is my suggestion, my hack. If you go through that, you have a very good chance of securing your, you know, getting 100% tuition waiver, and also getting a really good stipend even before just, you know, put your step here in the US soil. So all the best to everybody who's preparing for that. I really hope that you get into the colleges that you're really interested in. And if you really found this video to be interesting, please share, comment and subscribe. I really need subscribers. I know I'm trying my best to, you know, be consistent with these videos, but I'm finding a lot of issues, you know, behind the scenes, some issues that I've been facing, but I'll try to be as consistent as possible. And I really need your help. If you guys think it's been very helpful, please subscribe and share it with your friends and ask them to subscribe too, so that I can reach to that threshold soon, and then I can do live sessions with a lot of my friends who've been into different universities, so that we can, you know, talk about people who are facing some issues and help them as soon as possible. All the best once again, and have a great day. I hope to see you and meet you somewhere here in the US. Have a good day then. Bye.